Welcome to Three and Out with Jason and Kevin. I'm Jason. That is Kevin. We are brought to you by CincyJungle.com, SB Nation Cincinnati Bengals website, and sponsored by Eastgate Smiles Dental Care. Kevin, how you doing?
Doing all right, man. How about you?
Pretty good. The draft is over. We've had a week to digest it. Everybody is kind of doing their 53-man roster predictions, not necessarily a depth chart, but just the guys that they think will meet the team. So that's what we're going to do tonight. But first, I kind of pre-recorded an interview with Alex Barrow, who not only does our music, but he played defensive end at the Ohio State University.
Gotta get it right.
Yeah, I know. And he's going to talk for a few minutes about Myles Murphy, just because he has a unique perspective playing defensive end for not only just a Power 5 school, but one of the national NFL feeder programs, So yeah, we'll get started with that, and we'll be right back. We're joined now by Alex Barrow. Alex played defensive end at The Ohio State University from 2004 to 2008, and he played in the national championship games against Florida and LSU. We won't talk about the outcomes of those games. And he's going to talk a little bit about what his thoughts are on Myles Murphy. He has a kind of a unique perspective that we don't really have, that I don't have. Alex, first of all, he's also, and if you've watched the show before, and if you're watching now, I'm sure you have. If you listen to the music at the beginning of the show and the end of the show, that's Alex as well. And he's my brother-in-law, so this is nepotism to the extreme. All right, so Alex,
baby.
Yeah, exactly. So Alex, first things first. When you saw, I'm assuming that when the Bengals had Michael Mayer and Joey Porter Jr. sitting there available, were you shocked that they took Myles Murphy in the first round at number 28?
Yes, I definitely was. Ever since I moved down to Cincinnati, been loving watching Bengals drafts. And it's usually been, what are they going to do at the top of the draft? And now, we're the cool guy at the party, drafting later. So it's cool drafting, luxury picks. And some of the picks that we talked about beforehand with the tight end from Notre Dame, Mayer, and cornerbacks and running backs. Even some of the other discussion was all because you don't think that a Myles Murphy is going to be there that late. Mm-hmm. I obviously was a pass rusher. Love watching pass rushers. Love analyzing them. Just probably bug my wife and my kids to death talking about them on TV when we watch on Saturdays and Sundays. And I just think this is just a home run pick.
Good. All right, well, tell us then why it's a home run pick. What do you like about Murphy that makes it a home run pick?
When you watch his tape, in the pass game, the run game, he just wins with athleticism and power and speed. He's just an excellent athlete. You can see it jumps out on the film. Just a really, really great athlete and great player. Does all the technical things he needs to do to make success. He was very productive. One thing he didn't have a lot of was pass rush moves. It didn't seem like he needed to have a lot of pass rush moves just because he's such a dominant athlete and just get around guys. Great hips at the end to get to the quarterback. Had those sacks and tackles for losses. So he was a really productive and great player in college. And it's great that the Bengals get to have a guy like that when we have some great hybrid defensive line. I feel like you have cover that can kick it inside and outside, and this guy just seems like a straight speed power rush guy from the outside, which is great.
Okay. Yeah, the Bengals have kind of made this shift when it comes to these relative athletic scores, and these are fairly new. But Myles Murphy's RAS is 9.71 out of 10. So, I mean, there's no doubt about it that he's an absolute athlete. So what you're saying is basically, is he won in college with just pure athletic ability?
Right. That's what it definitely seemed like to me. And he had a better 2021 season than 2022. I read, and looks like that might have been because of the coordinator change. But based on the recruit he was coming out of high school, I think he was right up there with Will Anderson and some of the other guys that are up at the top of the draft here these last couple of years. Just having that kind of means you have a low floor, or I'm sorry, a high floor. So he has a higher chance of being successful.
Okay, so. The Bengals have done a really good job at drafting players, not for need, but drafting players that fell to them. And like you said, this was kind of a luxury pick. When you're drafting at the end of the first round, that means that you had a successful season. You kind of have your roster filled out. how do you think he'll be used this year? Do you think he'll just be a rotational guy? Do you think he's going to take someone's starting job?
I think rotational guy seems like the right fit for him early on, and that's really a good testament to the roster that the Bengals have done on the defensive line here the last few years. You have really good defensive ends in Hubbard and Henderson and a couple of the guys that are backups that we have yet to see. So I think he'd be great rotational. And he's a bigger guy. Looks like he's in the 270, so maybe you can kick him at 3 seconds.
Okay. So you mentioned some things. There's no such thing as a well, I mean, there is, but it's very rare that you have a player come in the draft, even a first-round pick, that's just ready to go, day one, flawless player. What does Myles Murphy need to do? What does he need to work on? Like, what's the big thing he needs to do to improve his game to be successful at the pro level?
Like I said earlier, it really seems like he needs to get more of an arsenal, more bit of moves. That speed and power is great. At college, you're going to win that way for sure when you have what he has. But in the NFL, everyone's big and everyone's fast, and you're going to go against a lot of tackles that have seen a lot of guys that are also big and fast and know what to stop them. So you're going to want to continue to learn and improve, get good coaching, and get some of those moves to be able to continue to be successful in the pros.
Okay. Again, we're joined by Alex Barrow, played at The Ohio State University from 2004 to 2008. Alex, you played at Ohio State with Cam Hayward. Do you hate him? Like all the other Bengals fans hate him?
No, I do not hate Cam. If you know Cam, I hate that guy. Just the time that we were both on campus, just the nicest guy. One of those guys that walks on campus, maybe college is a pit stop before he goes on to the pros. He was humongous then. He's a tremendous player, great guy. Always for Cam. Unfortunately, he lines up against Cincinnati. A little bit too much of a connection there.
Yep. Twice a year and probably a Hall of Famer. So,
yes.
All right. Do you have any other thoughts on Myles Murphy that you want to share?
It's really cool watching the Bengals get great players. And, like I said, they're the cool ones at the party now. This is great. Everyone's tuning in. Going to be a lot of on Thursday, Sunday night, Monday night games coming up. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yep. We'll find out the 11th, which is Thursday. So, all right. Which will actually, when you watch this, is now. So, yeah. All right. Well, Alex, thank you very much. And Alex is going to be joining us again as a co-host later in June. So you'll see him again. Thank you very much, Alex. Have a good day. All right. Thank you very much again to Alex Barrow. It was nice just to kind of get some different perspective from someone who played defensive end at the second highest level that you can play. So it was kind of cool. All right. So as we kind of talked about, Kevin and I are going to do our 53-man roster prediction. I think we kind of talked about it, and we agreed there's mid-40 somewhere guys that we think are locks, and then the maybe 8 or 9 spots that we're going to have to debate a little bit.
Yeah, right. It's worth a discussion. I mean, I got some opinions. I think maybe 1 or 2 are locks that you don't, and vice versa. Yeah. But there's, I would say there's probably 8 to 10 spots. We'll see. We'll go down the list. Right. But 8 to 10 spots that to fill, and we're still going to be missing 1 or 2 people in this roster. But anyways.
Yeah. And then also, just so our viewers and listeners know, we, Kevin and I, have agreed beforehand that whoever is most correct, the other one has to be on camera on the show after the 53-man roster is released in a dress. So Kevin doesn't need to agree now. He's already agreed. And he's acting like this is the first time he's heard that, but it's not. Don't trust Kevin.
No. I'm game. You're gonna lose.
Okay.
I was looking around because in the corner, my wife's a bridesmaid's dress, which would be hilarious.
Oh, there you go. All right.
Used to be hanging. It's not anymore, so I don't know where it's at. But
okay. Well, Kevin, what position you?
Doesn't matter. We'll start with quarterback. That's easy. Joe Burrow, Trevor Siemian. I don't think Jake Browning. I don't think he's.
Yeah.
I don't think they're not going to start 3 quarterbacks. So that one's easy.
Yeah, I think that they're at the. Oh, go ahead.
That's it. I was just about to move on. Literally, I don't think there's anything to say about it.
There isn't. They signed Simeon for a reason, and I think they're at the position now. They live and die with Joe Burrow. If Joe Burrow gets hurt, the season's over. Doesn't matter. There's no backup quarterback they're going to sign or spend money on that's going to help them win if Joe Burrow's out. So doesn't matter. All right. So you got two, Joe Burrow, Trevor Simeon. What's next?
Running back, I got Joe Mixon, Chase Brown, and Travion Williams. They are all three locks. Beyond that, Chris Evans debatable. We'll move on to that.
So I totally agree. Mixon, if they were going to replace him, they would have done it by now. Mixon, Chase Brown, Williams are locks. I don't know what's going to happen with Chris Evans. I can't answer if someone said what's going on with Chris Evans. I don't know. I don't know. He's done things on the field. We've watched him produce on the field, especially as like a receiver out of the backfield. But he never gets in the game. I don't know if he doesn't know the playbook. I don't know if he insulted the coach's wife in some way. Like, I have no idea what happened, but I am of the belief that he's going to be cut this year. There's just no room for someone who's not going to help. What do you think?
I think that's probably true, but I'm adding him to my list of bubble players just because he's somebody I want to keep an eye on as we're building this list. But I do think ultimately, he's gone. I don't know what they don't like about him, but they don't like him. Okay.
So moving on from running back, you want to do tight end next?
There are no bubble players. Irv Smith, Drew Sample, and Asiasi are starters, and that's it because we don't have any tight ends. I had you asked you earlier, like, because we were kind of texting back and forth about this. If you agreed, and you do, we have 3 starters, no bubble players. It is what it is. The Bengals have never left tight ends anyways.
So there isn't anyone. Those 3 guys are going to make the team unless they sign another free agent or something like that, which there isn't any. There aren't any. I mean, Irv Smith Jr. is like the last one.
I just don't think Moreau is a sleeper candidate because apparently he's going to be ready to roll about they're saying about halfway through the season, and he has multiple offers on the table. I wouldn't be surprised if the Bengals had an offer in. I mean,
it's possible. I saw that.
We're not going to. He's not worth counting here because that's a mid-season replacement type of thing. It's absolutely worthless to try to project that. But I do want to mention that Foster Moreau could be our tight end of the future.
It's very possible. So, we have Irv Smith Jr., Drew Sample, and Devin Asiasi as our 3. Those are their only 3. I mean, there's other guys on the roster as of right now. There's Tanner Hudson and Nick Bowers. It's probably not worth talking about. They're just, camp bodies at this point. So, all right. So on the wide receiver, there is a little bit, I think, some debate here, but I think we can agree that Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Charlie Jones, and I think Trent Irwin are locks. But did you not agree on Trent Irwin?
I do think Trent Irwin's is probably a lock, but he's in my bubble category because I want to talk it out. I want to because we don't have a lot of room, man. We got a lot of decent players that I love to have on this roster, and I'm not certain.
All right, so let's leave that alone.
If he's not there, Andre Yosivas might not be.
Right.
I don't know.
So let's leave that. Let's leave it. Yeah, let's get to 4. So we got 12 now, and then on to the offensive line. So let's do the 5 starters first. So you have Orlando Brown Jr., then you have Cordell Volson, Ted Karras, Alex Kappa, and Jonah Williams, assuming he's ready to go, right?
And then there are to assume he's not.
Well, right, and then
he has a kneecap. It's fine.
Yeah, and then there are backups that I think are locks. Leo Collins is a lock. I don't think we're going to count him right now because I think that we both agree that he's going to start the season on PUP, which would mean he doesn't count against the 53-man roster. So, but there are guys. So I think Jackson Carman is a lock. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. Carman's a lock.
So Carman's a lock. What about, I think Hakeem Adeniji is a lock.
100%.
Okay.
They love Adeniji, and honestly, so do I as far as a backup.
Well, he's both of those guys are versatile. They both played guard. They both played tackle, and the Bengals like that. So, are there any other locks on the roster right now, or is everyone else kind of in a bubble category for you?
For me, everybody else is in a bubble.
Okay.
I have opinions, but I don't want to presume. I want to talk about it. So, we'll have 8 O linemen as locks, and we'll move on from there.
Okay. So then we move on to the defense. All right. So for the defense, let's start at defensive end and let's do the locks. So you have Trey Hendrickson, obviously, Sam Hubbard, Miles Murphy, Joseph Osai. Is there anyone else that you consider a lock at defensive end?
Cam Sample.
Okay, 24.
Cam Sample 100%,
right.
100% makes the roster.
Okay, so defensive end brings us to 24 when it comes to the players that we both agree are going to be locks. And then we go to defensive tackle. Who are the players that you think are locks at defensive tackle?
I mean, God, this is easy. We don't really have any.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's DJ Reader, it's BJ Hill, it's Zach Carter, unfortunately. Hopefully he steps up. And Josh Tupou.
Okay.
And there's probably a conversation to be had about Tufele.
Yeah.
Just because of depth. I mean, I don't love the guy, but we just don't have a lot of depth there. But I do think they plan on swinging Miles Murphy inside a little bit. I think with Miles Murphy out there, they'll bring Sam Hubbard inside a little bit. That might be where they find their depth, but it's still worth mentioning. Next up would be Tufele for me.
Okay. But he's a bubble player. Tufele is a bubble player now.
Absolutely, yes.
So that moves us to linebacker. I think there are 3 locks here. And I think Logan Wilson, Jermaine Pratt, and Akeem Davis-Gaither are all 3 locks. The other guys are Joe Bocci, Marcus Bailey. I think those are big-time special teams contributors, but I think those are guys that we'll talk about when we get to bubble players. Or do you think that they belong on this list now?
I think they belong on the list now.
Okay.
We don't have enough talented linebackers to be debating who's going to be one of the backups when you have 2 special teams contributors sitting right there.
Yeah. All right. So Joe Bocci, 32, Marcus Bailey, 33. All right. So there are no bubble linebackers then is what we're saying, basically.
I mean, do you count Basham?
I don't know.
I don't know what to count him. Is he defensive end? Is he an outside linebacker?
I guess.
Okay, then Basham would be my bubble linebacker if you want to count him as a linebacker.
Okay. All right. And then cornerback, obviously Cam Taylor-Britt, obviously Mike Hilton, Chidobe Awuzie. They just drafted DJ Turner. And I personally think that Sidney Jones and Jalen Davis are safe too. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think Jalen Davis, I'm going to move him into I had him in a different category. I think he is safe. I think he's going to be a lock. But as far as locks are concerned, he's the most bubble lock that I've said yes to. So
okay. And then Sidney Jones, you agree that he's a lock?
Yes, I do. Sidney Jones.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And then safety, we have Dax Hill, Nick Scott, Jordan Battle, Michael Thomas. Those are my 4 locks. The only one left, Tyson Anderson, I think we kind of agreed we'd discuss him coming up, right?
Yeah. Unfortunately, he might be on the block.
Okay. And then special teams, Evan McPherson, Brad Robbins, right? It's Brad? Is his first name Brad? Okay, Brad Robbins. And long snapper Adamitis. Those are 3. There's 3 locks. Drew Chrisman is I don't think he'll make the team. So
no, he will not. There's no bubble players there. It's those 3, and that's it.
Right. So that brings us to 46, which means we have 7 guys, not counting Lael Collins because we think that he's going to start the season on PUP. So 7 guys to kind of go over, see which ones are going to be on there and which ones aren't. How do you feel so far about where we're at? The 7 sound about right for you about bubble guys? I think that sounds about right.
That sounds all right. I'm checking the math.
Okay. Yeah. I think that sounds all right. I tell you what, while you're checking the math, I'm going to go ahead. We're going to take a word from our sponsor and get back.
You need to add 1 to that. It's 47.
Oh, it's 47? Okay. 47. Yep. My bad. All right. 47. I'm going to take a word from our sponsor real quick. When we get back, we're going to talk about the guys that are going to kind of compete for those last 6 spots. Yeah. So, all right.
Eastgate Smiles Dental Care is a warm and welcoming environment where expertise and customer service come together. As a local business, they love helping their fellow Cincinnatians manage their oral health and achieve a perfect smile. They pair the latest technology with years of experience to give you a smile worth showing off. They are dedicated to quality and convenience and can even perform dental crown procedures the same day in most cases. You like your smile, but they are here to help you love it. They personalize your care and match your needs. Call them today at 513-528-1150 to learn what they can do for your pearly whites.
All right, welcome back. So like we said before the break there, we have 47 players that we believe are locks on. There's a lot of things that could happen. There could be injuries, whatever. There's all the cut downs are made on one day now. So there's going to be cap casualty cuts that come out after June 1st. Things could change, but as the roster stands right now, these 47 guys that we just listed, we believe will be on the roster for sure.
You know how I corrected you and made you make it 47?
Is it 46?
46. I have Collins in my I don't have him as pup. I'm
okay.
So.
46. Gosh.
There we go.
Wheels are falling off. All right, so we do have 7 guys. Is my math right? I do math all day for work. The math part of my brain is burned out by the time I'm done with work. I can't do anymore.
You need to get a different job. You need to kick a shovel like me. By the end of the day, no part of your brain is used.
All right. So what guys, where's your brain? Where's your head at? Who do you want to talk about?
I want to start at wide receiver and I want to start at cornerback. And I want to get at least one player from each of these lists into our final 53.
Okay.
Because we're doing that. Wide receiver is going to be a bloodbath, dude.
I know. It's going to be bad.
Do you think Trent Irwin is a lock for this team? I don't think he's that impressive. I do think he's dependable, and I do think they like him. I think he's got a built-in fan base because he showed up. Anytime any player gets pulled off the bench, shows up, and actually performs reasonably well, they're going to have a built-in fan base because we're so used to these people falling on their face when we ask them to step up. And he did. He stepped up. He did well. But I think there's nothing impressive about it.
I think he's a lock. I think he's a lock because in 2020 and 2021, he had like 39 yards combined. And then last year he had 200 something yards and 4 touchdowns. So I think they can depend on him. I think he showed that he can play. I mean, that one catch, I don't remember who it was against, but it was a big catch he had on like 3rd and whatever, where he twisted his body all crazy. It's unbelievable catch. I think he's got some talent. I don't think he would be on the depth chart ahead of Charlie Jones. I think he would be the team's 5th wide receiver, and he's just, he's a special teams guy that's going to be there to spell guys. Tyler Boyd wants to come out, whatever. You know what I mean? I think that's the guy. But to me, he's a lock. Now, Trent Taylor is not. He's not. I think Trent Taylor gets cut, personally. One of the Trents. And everyone loves the Trents, but I think Trent Irwin is a lock. I don't think Trent Taylor is. What do you think?
I agree. Trent Taylor's done. Yeah. They have new returner experience. I was never that impressed by Trent Taylor as a punt returner as it is. I don't think he's that special. I don't think he has the size. I don't think he has the skill set. They almost never saw him on the field. I mean, I think Trent Taylor is almost certainly a cut candidate. So right now, I'll add Trenton. You convinced me the 4 touchdowns, especially convincing. I kind of forgot he had that many. Okay. Trenton Irwin, add him to the list. We're at 47 now.
Okay. So we also need to talk about a rookie, Andre Iosivas.
Yeah.
I really would hate the idea of cutting him. I like the idea of keeping him. There's not many 6'3", 205-pound frame guys that can run like that. And I'm not saying he's not, he's got a lot of refinement to do. You know what I mean? He might not run the best routes, but you can't teach speed like that. Now, we saw what happened with John Ross. John Ross has speed. You couldn't teach John Ross anything. But Andre Iosivas went to Princeton.
Yeah.
You think that probably counts for something? He's got to be smart, right?
I mean, sure.
I mean, it's not like Yale or Harvard. It's Princeton. I mean, come on, it's Princeton. They're like Princeton is not the Billy Crudup. Princeton's like of the Ivy. Princeton's like I'm not going to be like
you backed yourself into his own corner. You knew it was coming.
Princeton is like
go ahead.
Princeton is like the David Caruso of the of the Ivy League. Just he's okay.
No, you nailed it.
This is no,
100%.
I did. This is bad. This is bad. All right.
Yeah. I want to
but
come
you
back to Andre. I want to come back to
Okay.
Andre because I do agree with you. I don't think it's ridiculous for them to roster 6 wide receivers. I also don't think it's insane for them to roster 5.
I think the
sorry.
roster minimum. I think 7 is the cutoff. Like 7, you know what I mean? I think we'll roster 6, possibly 7, depending on what we do with the other positions.
Well, there's just I get that. There's not that many snaps to go around, man.
It's not.
The big three are going to be on the field
right.
98% of the time.
Absolutely right.
Do you think they're really going to be rostering 6 wide receivers when they have needs elsewhere and they have depth issues elsewhere?
I think 6 has got to. I think that's pretty much the minimum they've done for a long, long time.
I know it is. I know it is. I'm just arguing the. I'm arguing the counter.
I know. I hear you.
I'm looking at this list and I'm saying, do they get by with 5?
Let me make a case for saying this. I think Stanley Morgan's on the team. Stanley Morgan is a special team ace. He knows the playbook. He's been around for a long time. If you have to choose a 6 and it's between Josephus and Morgan, I think they go Morgan and they hope Josephus clears waivers and ends up on the practice squad. That's my thought. So I think they go 6 and Morgan's on the team. And if there's room for a 7 at the end, maybe Josephus, but what do you think?
I want to come back to it. I really do, because I do think there's an argument. Now you're right. There's 6. You're right. There is 6. I forgot about Stanley Morgan.
Yeah.
So Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Charlie Jones, Trent Irwin, and Stanley Morgan are your 6 starters.
Okay. So Stanley Morgan's 48. Okay. And then you said you want to talk corner next, right?
Yeah. And then Andre Yosivas.
We'll kind of come back
on the bubble for right now. But Trent Taylor, we're killing. Trent Taylor's out. No more Trent Taylor.
Okay. So that brings us back to corner. We said that we have Cam Taylor-Britt, Mike Hilton, Chidobe Awuzie, Sidney Jones, DJ Turner, Jalen Davis. That's 6. So the guys kind of on the outside looking in are Alan George and DJ Ivy, the 7th round pick from this year. I don't
think either make the team, man.
I don't think either. I think they're good at 6. I do. I think they're going to stick with these. I mean, the other guys on the roster right now. Let's see.
I would like to keep Alan George. I would, but I don't think there's room for him.
Okay. And there's Marvin Tell, and there's Yusuf Corker. I mean, if any of the bubble guys are worth mentioning, it's George and Ivy. So, what do you want to do here? Do you want to keep it at 6 right now? Do you want to add? There's only 5 spots left.
Yeah, I want to keep it at 6. I don't think either one make the team. We can return to it if we need to. But I don't think either one makes the team.
Okay. And then I think that we're looking at next. Why don't we go to the offensive line? Because there are some guys that we left out.
Yes.
That have contributed lately. So we said that it would be Brown, Volson, Karras, Kappa, Williams. Starting 5, definitely in. La'el Collins is not going to count. We're going to say he's going to be on PUP. We have Carmen Adeniji. So there's Cody Ford to talk about. There's Trey Hill to talk about. There's Deante Smith to talk about. There's Max Sharping to talk about. There's going to be some difficult decisions made here for sure. Ben Brown, we got to talk about him. So why don't we go from the outside to inside? What do you think? How we start with offensive tackle and move in? What do you think?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I don't know, because a lot of these is based. I think that the real kicker here is going to be flexibility, right?
Right.
I think Deante Smith is out. I think he had his chance. He's not making this roster. It's that simple.
Okay.
So I want to just take Deante Smith out of the conversation.
Okay. So
I hate Cody Ford. I think he's in the conversation.
I know.
Because I just think the Bengals like him, I guess. I don't know why they signed him.
I think it's the versatility thing. I think that they saw a guy that, hey, he can play on the inside and outside. I think there's a lot of value to that. So
he can play badly at both positions. It's incredible. Most people only play badly at one, you know?
Yeah, I hear you. So there's Trey Hill as well, backup center, which they need. They don't really have we haven't really discussed a backup center. So there's Trey Hill and there's Ben Brown.
I'm banging the drum for Ben Brown here.
Okay.
He's played guard. He's played center. We don't have a lot of backup. We don't have a lot of depth there.
Okay. Then you know
the
what?
fact
You
that he can
sold me.
swing both.
Let's do Ben Brown.
That was easy.
Ben Brown.
I
Yep,
love Ben Brown as a prospect.
Okay.
I thought he was a sleeper candidate last year, and then he got hurt. I absolutely think he has a. This is like my throw your hat over the fence moment. I think Ben Brown makes this team.
Okay. Ben Brown's on the team then. All right. So does that mean Trey Hill's gone? Or do you think they run with 3 centers? Because I doubt
think
it.
No. I think he's probably gone. He's probably gone.
Okay. And then you have let's see. Let's go to guard. We need to talk about Max Sharping and so we need to talk about Max Sharping at guard. But Cody Ford could play guard as well. So I don't think Sharping has the versatility that Ford has. Neither of them are really a good option.
No.
Do you think they both make the team? Do you think just one of them makes team? If you're choosing between one of those two guys, I think it's Ford just because he can play offensive tackle as well.
Yeah, and they signed him for a reason. I mean, it ain't about what we think. It's about what the Bengals are going to do, and they're going to put Ford on the 43. So add him to the list.
All right, so we got Ford on there. So now their offensive line is Brown, Volson, Karras, Kappa, Williams, Collins, but he's on PUP, Carmen, Adeniji, Ford, and Ben Brown. Do you think that's it, or do you think they go maybe another one?
I could see them. Let's go back to it. I could see them keeping Sharping as well, and that Collins may end up taking Sharping's spot.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I got you. Yeah, I got you. Okay. So we have 3 spots left. There, we kind of talked about cornerback. We said we'd come back to that. I think we're set at wide receiver. Maybe. We have Usovis to talk about. We could talk about the defensive line. So let's see here. Terrell Basham. Let's talk about Terrell Basham. Kind of plays like an outside linebacker in a 3-4 or a defensive end in a 4-3, which is what he would be for the Bengals this year. Can't have enough pass rushers. I'm not saying that he's a great pass rusher, but he is a pass rusher. They did sign him. What do you think? Think Terrell Basham deserves one of the 53 spots?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
Okay. So that's 51, which leaves 2 spots left.
So moving on, for the defensive line, just in general, that leaves us, in my opinion, with Jeff Gunter and Jay Tufele.
Yes.
Gunter wasn't good last year.
No,
he wasn't. Jay Tufele plays in the interior, which is something we desperately need, especially with Zach Carter being, in my opinion, really bad last year. We don't really have a backup there. If you wanted to say we don't need Jay Tufele, in my opinion, you're then arguing that, they say Miles Murphy can kick inside, and if Miles Murphy's outside, then we can kick Sam Hubbard inside. There's a lot of different stuff we can do to disguise the lack of depth that we have at that option, and I agree.
Right.
So where are you at on this? Because I kind of think they keep one more.
So
what do you think?
But Gunter was their 7th round pick last year. He played in 10 games. He had 1 tackle. But he did play special teams a lot. 78 snaps on special teams. I don't know. I almost feel like you kind of flip a coin here. You kind of have one defensive end versus defensive tackle. You know what? Because of that, because of the lack of depth at defensive line, I will say
they're both bad.
I know. What else? I mean, you got to do. Someone's got to be on there.
I don't know. I think Tufele is worse than Gunter, but he plays a position that we need more. You know what I mean? So do we take the better player? Do we take Gunter and just think, we're disguise the lack of depth? We'll I mentioned this. There's a lot of ways that you can do that. You can kick a bunch of different people inside, which I don't hate.
Yeah.
Or do you grab Jay Tufele because he is your depth?
Yeah. I say Tufele.
Because the moment one of these players gets hurt, all that ability to disguise everything goes out the window.
Right. I agree.
You know what I mean? If Zach Carter gets hurt and we have Jeff Gunter on this roster, Well, I
Right.
guess Miles Murphy is a 3-tech from now on.
Right. I say Tafele personally because he plays
I
the
say
position.
Tafele.
Okay, that's 52.
Because it keeps them flexible.
Right.
Because
Yes.
we cannot be disguising lack of depth. I get this. I'm just kind of walking it through my own head. We can't be disguising lack of depth because the moment we start getting injuries, then we just have lack of depth, period. And at least Jay Tafele can step in if need be. Yep. All right, Jay Tafele it is.
Okay. So that leaves us one spot. And that one spot, in my opinion, should go to either Andre Yosivas, Tyson Anderson, or who else? Do you have anyone else on your mind that you think could earn that spot?
No, I don't. I think it's worth mentioning Chris Evans.
I know. I was just thinking about that.
Just
I
to
just
mention
don't
it,
know.
I mean,
I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know.
I don't think he makes it.
What
He
even to
doesn't make
say?
roster. I mean, I just really don't. It's too stacked. We don't have enough room. They don't like him.
Yeah. It's obvious they don't like him. Yeah.
Yeah. I hear all the arguments. I've made them myself. I was in the camp of like, oh, Chris Evans could be like a sleeper impact player. Like he could.
Yeah.
And they don't like him. They don't put him on the field. They don't use him in any way, shape, or form. I don't know if it's a personality issue, if doesn't know the playbook. I don't know, but they don't like him. I think he's cut. So I just want to mention that because there's still a lot of people banging the drum for Chris Evans, and I get it.
I know there.
I know.
Oh yeah, we've seen what he can do. All right, so I'll tell you what. How about this? How about I list 3 players, and you make the decision out of those 3 players? How's that sound for the last roster spot?
Yeah, let's do it.
Ready? All right. Trent Taylor, Andre Yosivas, Tyson Anderson.
Not Trent Taylor.
Okay, so Andre Yosivas or Trent Anderson. Or Tyson Anderson. You have a athletic safety drafted out of Toledo last year, spent the entire year pretty much on IR with a hamstring injury, or you have a 6'3", 205-pound track star wide receiver with blazing speed, but he's extremely raw. I mean, chances are either of those 2 guys clears waiver and ends up on the practice squad. It's just what position do you value more? Who could possibly see the field more? I think that Anderson probably has more potential as a special teams player than Yosivas does, but if there's an injury at wide receiver, especially when the outside guys, and I'm not saying that Yosivas could step in for Higgins or Chase because he can't. He's a rookie, and those guys are number 1 receivers. They're very special. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So based on special teams value, I'll say Anderson. What do you think? And that hurts my heart too, because I really like Yosivas a lot. I really do. I love the pick.
I'm not making a pick yet. Do you think Tyson Anderson would be a lot easier to hide on the practice squad than Yosivas would?
Probably.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I do.
Recent pick. He's a nightmare as far Yosivas is like a nightmare as far as like his athleticism is concerned. People are always looking for the next big wide receiver. Sure. It's by far the most like prized position after quarterback. I don't know how deeply people are even looking at Tyson Anderson if he's on the practice squad. People weren't looking at him that deeply. And then he didn't play a whole year. They didn't look at him very much. Like,
right.
I mean, a lot of Bengals fans forgot he existed.
Yeah. But
I'm one of the people occasionally. I was like, oh yeah, Tyson Anderson. He's a Bengal.
My whole thing with the safety position, though, is you have Jordan Battle, who's a rookie. You have Dax Hill, who's I think that we could agree is practically a rookie. He didn't take many meaningful snaps at all at free safety. He'll be playing this year. You have Nick Scott, who had 1 season starting as a strong safety to mixed results, and then you have Michael Thomas, who's got a lot more experience. But there's a reason that he's never been, a starter. So there's more meaningful depth ahead of Yosivas and less meaningful depth ahead of Anderson. But that doesn't really mean anything. If Dax Hill and Nick Scott / Jordan Battle kill it, then Anderson's just a special team. Either of these guys are special teams for the most part. You know what I mean? Yeah. It just depends on. Yeah, it just depends on which one of those you like more. I could almost flip a coin and walk away happy. You know what I mean? I really like Tyson Anderson. I think he's a really athletic safety. I think Tyson Anderson could help step in like one of those tight end roles. You know, we play a lot of, we play Mark Andrews twice. We play Travis Kelce. You know, there's a lot of talented tight ends, and maybe he does that.
Yeah, you saw me. It's
Okay.
Tyson Anderson.
I'm
not confident in that decision at all, but Tyson Anderson provides some flexibility to that position. I mean, just look at this last draft. Just look at the last 2 years. They are giving Lou Anarumo the tools he needs to succeed, and they should. He's great. So they're gonna give him Tyson Anderson. I'm saying it, and they're gonna try to sneak Yosivas onto the practice squad. I don't think they make it, and I think he gets sniped. And it's just that simple. And we lose him, and that sucks.
But just to let you know, Tyson Anderson, 6'2", 209 pounds. He ran a 4.36, which is fast. Yeah. That's insanely fast. All right, so that brings us to our 53, right? Yep. Are you happy with it? We're both wrong. We're wrong.
No,
I mean,
we're wrong.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
and this isn't going to happy about the list we've made. I don't like cutting Chris Evans. I like Chris Evans, despite how the Bengals feel. I don't like trying to sneak Yosivas onto the practice squad because I don't think he's going to make it. I don't like Cody Ford being a starter. I mean, on the 53. Period. When we first signed him, I went, "Oh, okay, he's versatile." And the more I looked at him, the more I hated that signing.
Right.
But he's there.
Yep.
But I do think this is at least going to be pretty close to what they're going to do.
Yeah. I think we're like, if we're going to get a letter grade, I think we got like a B. You know.
Yeah.
I think we got like a B. But
at max, we're 2 off because you don't know what's going on in that building. You don't know the discussions they're having. I mean, you don't know if they look at Yosivas as, this guy's the future. We want to keep him this year. We want to develop him. We want to release Trenton Irwin. We want to then Tyler Boyd's no longer going to be on the roster, and he's hopefully going to be our number 4 wide receiver. You don't know. They could be having that discussion. We don't know how they see him. But
they totally could be. As
of right now, I think Tyson Anderson, he's another tool. That's it. I'm done. I can't discuss it anymore. I'm going to talk myself into a different direction, and
I know
that's not going to be good radio. So,
there's a lot of guys on the roster right now, guys that we haven't mentioned that I'm sure listeners are going, "Wait, what about him? What about?" And I know. There's a lot of guys that I'm saying, "What about this guy? What about this guy?" This is the decisions that have to be made. You know what I mean?
This is the problem with having a good team.
Yeah, there's a lot of good players you're letting go.
We actually have a couple of players that we could lose that I think could be starters on other teams. You know what I mean?
Oh, I totally agree. I absolutely agree. Yeah, if there's a lot of I 100% agree. There's a lot of guys on here, or not a lot, but there's a few guys that are going to be bubble players that'll get picked up, that'll start. I absolutely.
They'll end up having at least reasonable careers. I really do believe it.
Yeah. So, so that's our 53. As of right now, obviously things will change. Camp's coming up. Hopefully there are no injuries, but it's always a possibility, which, will throw a wrench in everything. And there's also the possibility, oh, hey, so-and-so from somewhere got cut surprisingly, and the Bengals are going to scoop them up and cut somebody. You never know what's going to happen. So, so that's the 53.
If you disagree, get in the comments. Tell us how stupid we are.
Yep.
We don't respond.
And we're stupid. We know it. Yeah. We know we're stupid.
We don't respond, but we read them all. And we cry gently as we sleep.
Yep. That's how I fall asleep at night. I cry. Yeah. It's all right. It's okay. Keep those comments coming. It's okay. So the draft is over. The schedule's next week. We're going to talk about the schedule. I think the plan is we're going to go through all 18 games and say, hey, I think they win this. I think they lose this. We're going to break down what we think their final record will be and maybe what seed they, in the playoffs that would place them in. And then we kind of hit this weird period where there's just nothing that's going to happen for a while. There's going to be camp and little stories like that, but for a while, there's nothing. So I think the plan is we're going to break down the draft for our division rivals, for the Browns, for the Steelers, and the Ravens, and we're going to have to discuss.
I don't necessarily want to focus just on the draft. I kind of just
just the offseason in general.
Break down the division. I think we're going to try to do the same for the Chiefs.
The Chiefs,
because while not a division rival, it kind of feels like the future is
I
Eagles
think
and Chiefs ramming into each other and only one of us getting to the Super Bowl.
I think
and then
the
maybe
Bengals,
Bills. If you guys wanted us to do the Bills, let us know. I don't know. Some people say they're on the way out. I haven't taken a close second on that for the coming year. So,
yeah, I think the Bengals Chiefs is the best interdivisional rivalry in the NFL. 100%.
Oh yeah,
100%. So
I think we're getting Black Friday. What do you think?
I don't know.
I think Bengals Chiefs is going to be Black Friday. They're announcing it tomorrow.
Okay, real quick, and we're running up on time. I just want you to answer this.
Super long episode.
Would you rather have them play opening weekend, Bengals Chiefs, or would you rather have it later in the season when maybe it has more of a like, hey, this has some major playoff seeding, whatever. So, the playoff seeding could be affected will be affected by the winner or loser of this game. I'd rather see it later in the year. Personally.
I'm the opposite. I want to see it early.
Okay. All right. I get that.
I want to see it early because I don't like this like back-to-back thing we've been having with the Chiefs where it's like it feels like we play them and then we enter the playoffs and play them like 3 weeks later again.
Right.
Where at that point nothing's changed on either team and we just know each other too well. I would like them to feel like somewhat different games.
Sure. I agree.
And I think the way to do that is to put some distance between the two.
I agree.
No team is the same, 16 weeks later.
From week 1 to week whatever. It's totally different team. So, all right. You have anything else, really?
That's it. Cool. I'm done. I'm tired.
All right. Well, for Kevin, I'm Jason. This has been 3 and Out with Jason and Kevin. Again, brought to you by CincyJungle.com, SB Nation Cincinnati Bengals site, and Eastgate Smiles Dental Care. Give them a call. And Hoo Day.
Hoo Day.